Victoria Woolen Danner is at Hobbies, Crafts, and Collectibles today. Among her many talents, Victoria makes fine jewelry using precious metals and gems, and she'll be sharing some of her secrets with us on this episode, so stay tuned. What an honor it is to have Victoria Woolen Danner with us today in the studio. She is an accomplished artist, and I'm so excited to show you her work. Thank you so much, Victoria, for coming.
Happy to be here.
She's a kind of part-time Charleston resident, but you also actually live in Maine part of the year.
I do, 6 months out of the year.
And you'll see that's kind of affected some of her artwork as well, too. I love that you draw from your experiences and your surroundings to implement into your artwork. There's so much to show, so I don't want to, I'd love to just sit here and chit chat with you, but let's just look at some of the things. Now, you work with precious metals. I know that you have a lot of sterling silver. There's copper. What other types of materials do you love to work with and incorporate into your jewelry specifically?
Well, I like mixing metals, and because I like the different colors, and so I'm willing to use anything at this, and especially with precious metals being as expensive as they are, I've had to kind of cut back on the gold that I use, but I want color in there, so I don't really hold myself back.
And you do a lot of different techniques. I see enameling, there's stonework, and we're going to show some of that specifically. I want to start just from the beginning. First of all, how long have you been doing art?
Oh gosh, probably almost 30 years, I would guess. Quite a long time.
And did you study that in college?
No, I'm self-taught.
Well, you taught yourself beautifully. I wanted to start by showing some of the earlier work. When you first started, you were making some lovely pins or brooches made out of the various metals. I can't believe this is like two of your first items, right, that you ever made. And they look so accomplished. But especially look at this one. This is, now you've incorporated, and you do this somewhat in some of your work, incorporate some older things, older items.
Yes, I like found objects, and I like texture and mixing things up. And that piece is made out of guttering that I reclaimed many years ago, and I just
copper guttering.
Yes, copper guttering. So all these colors were originally on the guttering, so I didn't add any patina. It was there.
Gotcha. And then this was a found object. Your little cow here.
A little milagro.
Milagro. Yes, that is really lovely. And then you've kind of you do a lot of pins, but none of them look alike. That's what's so amazing to me, that you have such an eclectic aesthetic, first of all, but you also incorporate so many different styles of design. Like, you can't point to it and say, oh, that's got an Art Deco look to it, or you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just lovely. A lot of beading.
Yeah, I like to have usually a kind of a spiritual element to things, so I tend to, like with the milagro, has a spiritual edge to it, as well as the little station for the rosary on that piece. And these were pieces that when I didn't have a torch and everything had to be put together, I started out using plumber's solder. And because that's what I had. I started out with a stump of oak, small wedge of oak, a ball peen hammer, and guttering. That's what I started making jewelry with.
Wow, tools of the trade. And you've told me there's a difference, because there's cold connecting, which you do some of, where you don't use any heat in the process at all, and then you do have work like soldering, or you get to use your torch. Now here's a couple other examples of, this would be examples of your enamel work, right?
Yes.
So it's the metal, but then you've actually done an enameling process over the top, which is beautiful.
Yes.
You really get some gorgeous coloring that way.
Thank you.
Hopefully that's showing up. Oh, there. Pick that one up so you can see. Now, fast forward to more recent, you are actually doing some really unique work, what you're calling memento vitae, is that right? And explain what those are. These are gorgeous.
Well, this is my answer to the human need to keep things close to you. And during the Victorian period, there was jewelry referred to as memento mori, and they were to remind you of death. And my pieces are to remind you of a life that's been lived, yours or somebody else's, or that you've shared with somebody. So these are actual vessels that have a screw in them, and you can remove the screw and insert any mementos that you like.
And that can range from, it could be something special that you experience together, it could be a lock of hair, or
Yes.
even some people are incorporating ashes even
Yes,
into their...
yeah, I actually sell a lot of pieces to, unfortunately, widows. They will give me their wedding rings, their husband's wedding rings, and I will make one of these pieces.
And
the outside will be the wedding ring.
Right, this is not a wedding ring here, but this is an example, like the outside of
Yes.
it would have been the ring, and then you would do this incredible art piece. And again, it's all something you can open and insert something special.
Yes, yes.
That is just beautiful. I love, this is one of your most recent pins. This is beautiful, and this is actually going to be recognized in a book coming up, right?
Yes, yes. Behind the Brooch, a woman that I met in a group on Facebook who is a jeweler, and she lives in San Antonio, Texas, and she's writing a book about the back of the brooch and is focusing on things that artists do and to make the back of the brooch special.
I see. Oh, and it is special. That's the back of the brooch, audience. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, what is this coming out of the top? That's interesting.
That's deer hair. My husband's a hunter, and I always help him when it's time to do the cleaning and butchering and everything. And so last year I gathered up some hair because I knew I was going to be incorporating it into something. I didn't know what exactly.
Sure.
But
now, were you in Maine when you did that? Or?
I made that piece in Maine, yes.
Okay.
But we get the deer here in Illinois.
Gotcha. Wondered if that was an Illinois deer or not.
Yes.
Well, it's just lovely. And now explain, some of your work is being featured in different places. I know in Maine you actually have at a museum, right?
Yeah, well, the Maine Craft Center on the interstate, they have a really beautiful shop, and you have to be juried to get into it, and you have to be a Maine resident also. That's the big thrust in Maine, is work done by Maine artists. And since I'm there for 6 months out of the year, they will allow me to claim being a Maine artist.
I see.
Because there are a lot of people that don't stay the whole year. It's too cold.
Understood. I can see why they would want to represent your work, though. It's just
Well,
beautiful. Looking at a couple of the various things that you do, one thing I don't want to run out of time before we see, because I love incorporating older objects, like you were saying, and you did these specific pieces over here as an example of using something common and everyday and making it into a work of art and something just lovely. So explain this necklace to us and what it's made of.
Well, I kind of challenged myself to find pieces that are not everyday art objects, and so I went to the hardware store and found some copper coupling and transformed it into this by dapping it, which is shaping it, and then soldering all these other elements onto it and creating something new out of it. Again, it's in relation to the cost of materials, and a lot of artists are having to be a lot more creative with what they're working with.
Well, and it's stunning. I mean, you can tell that it's not a precious metal. This is a couple other copper pieces.
Yeah, copper washers.
That's just amazing. You'd never know that was a copper washer. That's great. Now, you not only do jewelry, you do a lot of other incredible things, which I find with a lot of artists I talk to, there's a lot of, creativity in there waiting to come out. And, sometimes one genre is just not enough, right?
Yeah.
But I guess before we move from jewelry, I want to talk about your stonework really quick, and then I'll talk about some of the other things that you're doing right now.
Okay.
Working with stone, you have showed us maybe a few of the stages here. I want to show you a couple of finished products so you'll know what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about stone, it's anything but your ordinary rock from the driveway. Lots of different species of stone that you use, aren't there? But that would be an example of something, a pendant that you would have made using stone and sterling silver. This one is just so pretty. Loving this one. I think this one could fit in my pocket on the way out. What kind of stone is that?
That's a Kentucky agate, and that was a gift to me from a friend here in Charleston, Al Coutant, who is teaching me how to make our cabs. He's a lapidary. He's a rock hound from many, many years, and he's my mentor with my rock.
I see.
work.
So you're gonna. He taught you to start with a slab, right?
Yes,
So you
yes.
have
He
a
cuts
couple
the
different-
slabs for me.
I see. Beautiful. And I imagine you're looking for the pattern, the
Yes,
color.
it's so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, I bet it is. Very cool. So you're going to start with something like this, but then you showed me a little bit about this beforehand. You actually called this a
This is a dopping stick, and
dopping
yeah,
stick.
and this is dopping wax. It's like sealing wax, like you used to have for letters.
Sure.
And it's the same kind of consistency, and you just put this, you warm it up, and then put the stone on it, and then you grind it on a wheel.
And that just gives you the ability to move and
Right.
shape, and so that's the
Protect your
process. But
fingers,
then you're
yeah.
going to end up with some beautiful pieces of stone. So let me just tilt this up for the camera. Okay. See if we can get some of these. I can pick them all up individually. But these are gorgeous. I mean, the patterns of these are phenomenal.
Yeah, they really are.
It's amazing that they're made in nature.
Yeah, I wish I understood the processes better because it's really pretty fascinating.
Yeah. This one is my favorite. This stone. I'm going to hold that up a little bit so you can see it. But now, see, you don't seal these with anything. This is actually, they're just highly polished.
Yes, yes.
They're just beautiful. And so then you incorporate that into your jewelry in such a beautiful way. I love it, love it. Gosh, I seem to be using the word beautiful a lot today. So we have some sample and of some of the other work you do. You do earrings and rings, bracelets. I know with your bracelets we have actually a few samples of some of the process, I guess, if you might, here in front of you, tell us a little bit about how would you start by even shaping a sterling bracelet?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would start off with a sheet of silver and cut out a strip that's about this wide.
Okay.
And then I would solder it, make a ring out of it and solder it together. And then I form it on a stake and hammer it. And you hammer along here. And these are called anticlastic bracelets, and they
Okay.
curve like a saddle. And,
See the curve there.
and this allows me to use much thinner metal because as you're working it, it gets very, very strong. And
so you would work the metal into the shape that you want, and then you actually can make patterns on it. You can etch
Yes,
them, you can
yes.
rivet them. Here are some different examples of that. This is where the real art comes in too, isn't it?
yeah, this is where there's a lot of work.
Yeah, I bet. A lot of detail work. And I love the two in front here that you've made, and you've actually inset some stones into them. Those are lovely.
And again, using cold connections, a mixture. So the time that I didn't have a torch helped to inform my work later because it gave me skills that I might not have picked up.
Absolutely. Those are just beautiful. And then you've also, again, ventured out into other places. So let's kind of go there a little bit. I talked about your enameling earlier with jewelry, but you've made some beautiful art work out of your enameling. And I want you to talk about this piece. This is just stunning.
Well, this is part of a bigger piece. And this, I love doing kind of a narrative thing with enamels. And I mean, they're so vibrant. And so this was just me experimenting and understanding the limits of the material.
Okay. Now, is that painted on before or after the enameling process?
This is all
the
enamel. It's all enamels.
All enamels.
Yeah, you can get them very finely ground.
I had no idea. That is.
Yeah, and so this is a little underfired, so it looks like it's a little separate. So I would do this is probably 20 firings, and then I would put on this last and fire it one
So
more
just
time.
layering and layering.
It's, yeah,
different
many
colors
layers.
Wow.
It's very similar to watercolors for me because you start off with a basic background color and then you build up from there.
I see. And then you've actually, here's a small work of art, actually, an enameled square. Again, very detailed, very small. And then it looks so nice in that frame. I like that. That's beautiful. Now, I know you also have gotten into the world of illustrating a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the pieces here on the back shelf. I know that your husband is involved with a book coming up, and you've
Yes.
actually, the figure on the left there is something that you've illustrated for the cover.
Yes, he's working on a book. He's compiling a book called Mapping the Line, which is a group of essays by very well-known poets and educators in the United States, Claudia Emerson and Ted Kooser, I mean, who've been Pulitzer Prize winners and poet laureates of the United States. And anyway, it's all about learning how to write poetry, and it's exercises that they've used and that work. And so he needed a cover, and he had an idea, kind of what he wanted. And so we sat down together, and this is the illustration that I came up for the cover, and that's the front and the back.
We'll be looking for mapping the line to come out. That's
yeah, he's
stunning.
pretty excited about it.
That's great. And you've actually done another cover here for the Spoon River Poetry Review,
Yeah.
and you actually illustrated that as well.
Yeah, my husband was the editor, so he's...
Is that watercolor?
Yes, that is.
That's just amazing that you can do all these different things. I want to show you these large pieces in the back, though. Again, your inspiration comes from your life around you, and this is actually a piece that you made. These are your granddaughters,
Yes.
featured in the middle, which I love. This is kind of a collage piece. Explain this technique to us.
Well, what I did, I started off with a circle. It's a mandala, and it's a meditation on my feelings about my granddaughters, and whom I obviously feel joy about them.
And that picture exudes joy. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you've incorporated different flowers.
I have. I went out into my yard in Maine and took flowers and put them on the copier. And so just pressed them in the copier and then cut them all out and then laid them down. I started out with a circle of yellow, and then I also have on the outside of it pictures of trees from Illinois, and so it just kind of progressed from there as I was working on it.
Well, it's beautiful. And then, whoops, this is really, I love this. Explain who our subject matter is.
Okay, this is something else. My husband was doing a short story for a book called A Field, and it was about hunters and their relationships with their dogs. And my husband had a dog named Dewey, and Dewey was with him all the time and would ride around in the car with him, and Dewey wore a hat all the time. He'd pop that hat on him and he would leave it on. And so this is how my husband remembers this dog, and so he needed an illustration for this story, and so I thought, well, let me give it a try, and this is what I came up with for his.
It's beautiful. You're so talented.
I
Victoria.
really enjoy it. I really enjoyed illustration, and with jewelry, you have to know how to draw.
Sure.
And I think that's where I've really honed my skills, is drawing jewelry when I'm working on designs.
Absolutely. Well, illustrator, jewelry maker, sculptor, you have some just beautiful work. Is there anything you have on the horizon that...
Well, no, I'm
learn,
focusing
or?
right now on honing my skills on making lockets and hinges, and that's pretty involved. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Sure, and you've got a beautiful example of one of your recent lockets. Make sure we zoom in on that one. But this is so stunning, just beautiful. And again, you paid attention to the back of it,
Yes,
which I
yes.
love. It's etched in. You call that etching? What would you call that?
Well, I etched it first, and then I roll printed it because I don't like to work with really strong acids, and I can etch brass easier than I can silver. So I etch silver, and then I roll it.
Oh, I see. That's lovely. I can see why you're getting into lockets. Again, I love the memento vitae, and
I like tiny things.
I love that she's also paid attention to, your idea book. I mean, you've handcrafted this lovely book. This is actually made from an older book cover, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I had this book for years, and I just didn't know what to do with it. The inside of it was just falling apart, but I love the cover.
Yeah, it's so pretty. And you've even, the spine. But wait till I show you what she does then. This is just lovely on the outside. But this is how you, instead of having a big notebook, this is how you organize and store your ideas. Explain.
Well, when I'm working on a piece, or if I discover new ways of doing things, I write them on note cards, and that way, well, this is all what I did to make this piece. These are my instructions for that piece.
For the heart brooch.
And the reason I like cards instead of a book is because if, say, I start illustrating and then I don't like it, and then I've got this ugly sheet in there, and so it kind of inhibits me from drawing. And if I have a note card and I don't like how it turns out, I can easily toss it out, and they're easy to get a hold of and just look at one piece. And
I don't know about you, but I have a feeling there are very few of cards that get thrown out because you are very talented. And again, you've got a lot of different mediums, genres, what do you call it in the art world, that you work with?
genres, I guess.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. I really appreciate you bringing this all down for us, and I know that you can find, if you just do a search for Victoria Woolen Danner, you can find a website online and see a lot of her work and her portfolio, and you won't be disappointed. It's just beautiful. Thank you, Victoria.
Well, thank you.
Really
it's been fun.
it. It's been a joy. On this week's Show and Tell segment, I thought we should talk about bedpans. Bedpans. I know, a little different, but stay with me for a second. We're actually going to talk a little bit about granite ware. You've heard it called granite ware, enamel ware, porcelain enamel. It's been around since the 18th century. They were trying to come up with kind of a new way for housewives to not burn their cooking, because everything was cooked in tin or cast iron pots, and it would stick. Sometimes it would leave a metallic taste. So they're actually coming up with a way to engineer kind of a non-stick coating, at least a more durable coating that would alleviate some of that problem for housewives. So they actually used kind of a ground up glass, but through the years they added like agate and granite to their formula. So it's become known as granite ware. One of the most famous makers of granite ware actually lives in Granite City, Illinois. That's where it's processed. So kind of a rich history, and it comes in all kinds of unique colors and patterns. In the late 1800s, kind of got competitive, and they started trying to make it more of an attractive instead of just utilitarian, because there were pots and pans and all kinds of utensils that were covered with this enameling process. But they started speckling it, or they called it mottled. You get kind of a modelly look or a granite look to it, or marbleized, speckled. There's all kinds of different patterns that you can get. But anyway, collectors are pretty serious about their granite ware, and there's not a lot of upcycling or repurposing to be done with granite ware, except for the lowly bedpan. We don't mind doing much with those. They're not super collectible, but they're kind of fun, and they can be kind of a utilitarian item. I see a lot of people right now are using them for wall pocket gardens. They're actually planting flowers in them and covering a whole wall with bedpans that have plants hanging out of them. So that's kind of fun. But I also think they make fun organizers. So I just wanted to show you a couple of ideas. Super quick, super easy, great project. First of all, you're going to need a bedpan, and you can pick those up, flea markets, garage sales, and such. You're going to decide, first of all, where you're going to use it. These can be used for an organizer in any room in your house, kids' room, craft room, for gardening. Or I'm going to show you a couple of ideas for using them in your kitchen and in your office. This one is my favorite, actually. I like to pretend I'm organized, but something like this helps me, putting everything in one place. I use this as kind of a bill organizer, and I've just kind of decked it out a little bit to show you a little bit of variety of what you could use it for. But I got my bills in here, my record keeping. This one actually already has a hole drilled in it in the back. I got it that way, but you could actually epoxy something on the back, like a hanger. They have all shapes and sizes. You're just going to need one that has a really good base to it, and then a really strong epoxy. And this one is not going anywhere. I epoxied this on just a couple days ago, and it is sturdy as can be. So you can do that if you don't want to drill a hole in it, but again, it's not something that's expensive that you're going to worry about. So drill a hole if you'd like to hang it up. But this actually, I just wanted to show you a few fun things, maybe a magnetic calendar that you could put on it. There are all kinds of fun things that you can make magnets out of nowadays. They have these little things, magnetic buttons that you can buy, and they already have adhesive on them, but I actually like to put a little extra epoxy because I don't want mine falling apart. But buttons make such cute magnets. They actually have magnetic clips, and you can use that to clip anything on your board. Little reminders, bottle caps make a great magnet. This is a milk cap. Vintage milk cap that kind of has a diploma. Opportunity is as near as a high school diploma. Milk caps are so much fun, and they have a lot of different graphics on them, and that makes kind of a fun magnet. This is actually a watch face that I adhered a magnet to. And I found a little flashcard. I love things with words on them. I'm kind of notorious for having those around the house in different places. This one just says office. But anything work related that you could put up. This is actually neat. It's a magnetic hook. So it's a hook that has a magnet on the back, and you can hang anything from there. I've got my little work pad and a pen dangled from it. So those are just some ideas for the office. But I also wanted to show you for the kitchen, because I love vintage kitchen materials. They're so much fun. They're colorful, graphic. These are a couple of cookbooks. Why not take some of your fun vintage cookbooks and make a little wall organizer out of a granite pan and keep them all organized and show them off a little bit. This actual graniteware pan is white with a blue rim around it. That was kind of popular in Europe. So this is probably European, probably came from Germany. And all I've done, like I showed you, is epoxy a little hanger on the back of it, and then just outfitted it with a few things. I'm gonna stick my vintage cookbooks in here. Maybe your grocery list. I got a little calendar with a grocery list here. And it's already got a magnet on the back. It kind of came that way, so that's kind of useful. Some kitschy vintage kitchen magnets would be fun. And the great thing about these is that, again, you can put anything on these. Your recipe that you're cooking that night, or maybe just a fun quote that inspires you, whatever it might be. Here's another little flashcard of Home and Hearth. Whatever it might be, you can hang your utensils from it. I also have a little magnetic hook on this one with my teaspoons and my tablespoon hanging from it, but you could also do like your hot pads, just to keep things at your fingertips, because you know when you're in the kitchen you want it right there. So just deck it out how you want, and the great thing about it, it's all on magnets, so you can change it out as you wish. Maybe use it as a note board. And the great thing too about this enamelware is you could actually use a dry erase marker on it. You could actually write notes right on it and erase right off. So that would be another fun idea. So I'm sure your juices are turning. I'm sure you're thinking of lots of great ideas, and I'd love for you to share them with me. You can always contact us at WEIU. We'd love to get your ideas on how you're going to use your wall bedpan. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.